of New Era Bondz. So today we have a special guest, Miss Shivani Jatar, and today we are here to discuss about the new era of Kathak. Welcome Shivani, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm only here to share my journey and what I have learned about Kathak, being first in India, now in the UK. So yeah, I'm excited.
Wow. Firstly, Shivani, we would like to know about your Kathak journey. So how it began?
It started when I was very young. My mother was really fond of dancing, and she didn't really pursue it in her life, but both my sister and I were really excited to do it. So she encouraged us and she put us in dance class. I think around the time I was a teenager, I started doing the Gandharva exams, which is an institute in India. So that's when I kind of became very serious about dance. And luckily my teacher gave me a lot of opportunities to perform. So between the ages of 14 and 19 is when I really paid attention to Kathak. And I think somewhere I realized that this is what I wanted to do. So after lockdown, I think I realized that I wanted to do something for myself. And that meant that I would have to maybe train more, do maybe a master's or something. And I looked at master's degrees in India, but at the time they had stopped it due to the lockdown. And they said they didn't know when they would start again, so I started looking abroad. And that's when I found the MA at Northern School. So that's what brought me here. Because I kept getting good work and good collaborations, I ended up staying in the UK. So that's what I am here for now.
Nice. So how you are seeing Kathak in the UK? You have the feeling that yeah, it's still the same, there's no boundaries, or you feel that no, with changing countries, with changing borders, the Kathak has also a different feel and it's a lot different when in India, when in abroad.
Definitely different, very different. Because I think when I learned it, firstly I was very young, and two, I was learning it within the context of like a generic Indian culture. So there are a lot of things that we do in Kathak that we don't realize are so embedded in our culture. And it's not something that you're taught, it's something that you just grow up around, which means that you have more context to certain things like garlands. I mean, they do know what a garland is, but the fact that you can make it at home and it's not just something that a florist does. It's something you can do and that you can actually wear it in your hair. You know, that sort of concept didn't exist maybe for someone growing up in the UK. But that would be something understood in our culture. So now when you're dancing and say in one of the stories that you're presenting, you are making that garland using certain mudras, and then so the person watching you has no idea what is happening. They have just no idea, and not because of any other reason, but simply because that just did not exist where they came from. So my first sort of experience was when I was performing Kathak, and I was like, oh, there needs to be a change in how we perform Kathak for an audience that does not come from the same background as you. Then the second thing was, if I'm teaching someone in a class setting, how will I now teach it to such a person who doesn't have that context? So the difference is on many levels, but that was obviously an example. So yeah, I think I've now spent the last 2 or 3 years trying to make Kathak more contextual to what is around me and how I would teach it now to people here.
Lovely. So because you have an extensive experience in Kathak, in dance, and establishing that culture in UK as well. So if there are people in UK from Indian background as well as from non-Indian background, from different cultures, different religions, so what is the first step they should take when they want to learn Kathak?
I think there are quite a lot of good teachers around. So obviously your first step is to identify a good teacher to learn from. The only thing I would ask somebody who is learning Kathak and maybe they are from a different background, the only thing I would ask them is to take an effort to actually learn the language and the other cultural aspects. So like the music, why is the music the way it is, what are the musical instruments, and I think I said language first because a lot of the terminology in Kathak comes from a certain language, which was also new to me when I started because I don't come from North India.
Yeah.
So I was learning in Mumbai where my mother tongue was Marathi. So I also, as I grew up, I had to learn a different language, learn the meanings of those words, learn the meaning of those terms. And eventually that starts to make much more sense and it helps you understand the dance form you're doing. So it's not just dance that you're learning, but it opens up a different world to you. So I would say if you are trying to learn something or if you're starting your journey in Kathak, then don't be shy about learning the other aspects of it.
Yes, very true. There are so many dance forms. Okay, so should they opt for Bharatanatyam or should they opt for ballet? What they should do? So if like our viewers as parents are confused or kids are also confused because they are exposed to different art forms today and in schools, colleges, in reels, videos, everything. Yeah. So how you would suggest people that okay, this is how you can pick up your interest and explore that?
I think the best way is to try different things.
Okay.
I think maybe for somebody Kathak may not be the best dance form, and that has happened after somebody has learned for a year and they realize this is not what I want to do. So then they say, okay, thank you, I'm sorry, but I have to go. And I also let that happen because it's fine. So the best way is to put yourself in that shoes, but don't just give it 1 or 2 classes. I would say give it a good try, give it a few months at least before you decide whether this is something that you enjoy or you don't. I'm obviously talking about more adult learners here, but as kids as well, I would say maybe introduce one or 2 things at a time. And if the child is not enjoying, genuinely not enjoying, then you can maybe decide. Sometimes they just don't want to dance. Maybe sports is what they like. Maybe it is music that they like more than the dancing. So it's a matter of figuring out what it is the child is interested in. But give it a good try. And if it doesn't work, it's fine.
Lovely. So to the viewers, I want to say that we have also recorded a Hindi chat on this topic. And where beautifully Shivani has articulated that how dance should be like a lifestyle, not just confined to classes and choreographies, but how we should live it as a lifestyle. So if you understand Hindi or if you are comfortable with subtitles, I do recommend please watch the Hindi episode as well. Now moving forward, Shivani, when we talk about exposure of people via reels, shorts, and we see that yes, Kathak is changing. Okay, it's changing in its form as how it was traditionally done in a different aspect, in a different set of rules or a frame. And yes, because of different factors, as we are doing it in different countries, we are doing it at different phases of life, it's like a different point of the globe, okay, because new era is really different. So what you define as authentic Kathak?
Okay, so lots of things over there.
Yeah.
So forgive me, this is maybe a little long of an answer. I would say I don't see Kathak purely as a traditional form and I don't even see it as an ancient form, because the Kathak that we have learnt and that we practice today is something that was made and designed in the 20th century, which for those of you who may not know is less than 100 years ago. Especially I would say after India became an independent country and we wanted to sort of celebrate Indian culture. So Kathak has existed for centuries before this. Kathak will exist for centuries after us.
Yeah.
So what that Kathak was many centuries ago was actually different performance styles, and it has come together. Some people have been very pivotal in making it so and designing it so for a modern audience, for modern needs and our requirements of the day. So for example, Kathak was not always meant for a big auditorium stage. It was meant for maybe more intimate spaces. That's why certain elements of Kathak don't work on big stages anymore. And maybe the practitioners who came later on then said, oh, for a big stage we have to adapt. So they took what they knew of Kathak and adapted.
Yes.
Something similar is what we are doing. We take what we know of Kathak and we adapt it to today's day, today's people, the country in which you are practicing. So something similar. So I don't see it as tradition, as in it has never changed and it has never been diluted. I think that word itself becomes a bit of a problem, because what you're doing is you're adapting, as have people before you and as will people coming after you. So adaptation, I think, is a matter. That's why Kathak has survived for so long. So I don't see adaptation as a bad thing.
Yeah.
I think authenticity also would look different for different practitioners. For me, if you say something is authentic, how am I now practicing it authentically? Then I would say it is about knowing or being mindful, being aware of where you stand in this long Kathak history. That is not just about you, but it's about the form that is much bigger than us.
Yes.
So as long as I know what I am practicing, who I am sharing this with, and why I am sharing this with, I will potentially deliver something that feels authentic. And I should obviously be respectful of the people who have come before me. So that could be my gurus, that could be somebody 40 years ago, it could be anybody. So obviously there is this matter of being respectful to the origins, to the very, very diverse practitioners, and say that, okay, this is what I can do, this is what is in my control, so this is how I'm going to share it. So yeah, that is what I would say is authentic to me. In terms of social media, we must also understand that the medium is different. So what you're actually seeing on social media is a music video. You are not seeing a dance, because you're taking, say, an audio piece. You're not even taking the full song. You only take a piece of a song and you choreograph steps to just that song. So then it's not about the dance, it's about the music. So then, and that piece of content that you're actually consuming or producing is actually a music video rather than a dance reel. So we have to be, and if you're consuming this as if you're watching this, then I would say just be aware that they are probably just dancing, and that's completely fine for somebody to have fun, to put up a nice reel. You like to watch it, you enjoy it as well. But that does not mean that the artists involved or the dance styles involved is just that. Yeah, there is a bigger dance style attached to it that may look very different in person. It may look different on stage. It may look different in different media. So yeah, that's all.
So this is one thing I just love about artists and being into artistic field, that with the art form we learn like life's biggest lessons, and how beautifully she has articulated, and we have learned so much that there is a bigger picture of the artist behind. When we are doing something, we have to see where we fall in that bigger lineage or legacy of Kathak. So these are small elements. If you just think about who you are, what's the clarity in any subject or in any phase of your life, it will help. So this podcast is not just that it will just help Kathak dancers or dancers, but you can just take out essence of different things from the topics which we are discussing. So lovely. This is how I think we should think and go ahead. Now, as we all see that sometimes I have different experiences, like traditionally Kathak should start with a pranam or a gratitude and bowing down. And sometimes when we teach to different people who are not following the culture of like bowing down and doing a namaskar, and they sometimes ask that I'm not comfortable in doing that. Okay, so what I do is I just explain them that it's not following a religion practice or a culture thing, but it's like gratitude, and you can do it in any way you want. Okay, if you want to touch the heart, it's gratitude. If you want to do this, it's gratitude. So how do you feel about it? Like, should we change that, or what's the explanation we should give it to them that?
Well, very good question, and looks like you've also adapted your practice to the people and around you. Little exercises we do or little rituals that we do that may be embedded in more like Indian culture, and when I say Indian, but specifically Hindu culture. And then not everybody who is learning might be okay with that or might be okay participating in that. So that is always a negotiation. I also know some people who don't come from Hindu practice but are okay doing it.
Okay.
And they participate with it knowing that this is the form that it is. So they are willingly coming into it and they accept it and they do it, and that doesn't change their religious beliefs or doesn't challenge their religious beliefs. They are fine with it. So there are people who are completely okay doing it, and then if there are people who are not okay with it, you can reframe it as you have already done, which is you maybe explain the meaning behind it or the significance behind it, and you can reframe it and rephrase it in a way that makes sense for the person.
So there is nothing right or wrong, but the thing is, like, we should not connect dots between different aspects. Dance is dance, and we can just play back and forth with principles, practices in the way we want. So Shivani, like a very deep question, it's in my head from years. Okay, so when we do Bhav Paksh in Kathak, okay, so from years and years we are doing Naika Bhav, like, okay, she's dressing up, Shringar, Vipralabdha, and Abhisarika, all these. So this was when women's were like, okay, only about confined to a house, dressing up, waiting for their beloved or husband who is gone out for working like miles and miles away. So those things were contextual and appropriate at that time.
Correct.
But today's women is everywhere, on the army front, forefront, on medical spaces, on like our aeronautical space, everywhere. So I have never seen adaptations where in Bhav Paksh we are representing women of today. Okay. We try to explore or create new modern stories of women and men showing and telling as a Kathak dance Bhav Paksh things, or still we should stay, or there should be a balance between the two.
To be very honest, there is a reason why I am not fond of the Bhav Ang of Kathak, precisely because of that. Because when I was growing up, I started learning about Naika, this thing, and I was like, I was too young. So I was like, I don't want to cry about a boy. Nahi karna tha.
And then she's like removing the earring.
It's very melodramatic, and then I'm not like that as a person. So I genuinely had a long time, I just didn't want to do that. A little bit when I grew up, I saw the value in it. I think when you're learning it, I think it's very important to still learn it, because when I said, it's not a traditional form, it was designed to be a certain way. And then we started calling it a classical dance. So when you say classical, it means that it relies on certain conventions and certain cultural aspects. So that part of that classical is that when they talk about these themes, they are talking on a very universal level. So that's why even though you're talking about a Naika and the Naika who's waiting, the Naika who's, she's really upset. So you don't maybe have to take it literally, saying I am the lady who's waiting, but it's about understanding the deeper emotional part of it, which is that all of us feel sad. All of us have gone through this. All of us have felt heartbreak. All of us, it can be in any context, but it allows you to process those emotions, to understand so if you were crying, I don't need to know who you are to come to you and say, hey, are you okay, can I help? That's you develop that empathy as well. So I think specifically in the Bhav Paksh of the things that we do, we should still learn it, maybe. There is a lot of valuable practice over there. As for the subjects, which is like the types of Naika that we used to do, or even the mythological stories that we used to do, I totally agree with you saying, where does that stand in our lives today? And you might actually come to the conclusion that it doesn't have a lot of relevance anymore. But at the same time, many of these stories again had universal themes. So we don't look at Kathak, but we can take an example from something like Kathakali. So in Kathakali performances, when you train as one character, typically. So if you learn Kathakali, but you end up performing the same story, the same character throughout your career. There is no concept of different performances. The same performance, the same troupe that you perform with over and over and over again. And they believe that these stories are so relevant in their themes, in what you can learn from them, in the values that they talk about, in the emotions that they talk about, that every time you perform it, there is something to take away from it. So that is where it comes from. That's why I said, it's classical, and it has that idea that some of these things that were part of it were part of it for that reason, where anybody will understand sorrow. People understand grief, people understand jealousy, people understand anger and rage and all of that. Everybody on the planet will, as a human being, will feel all those things. So then they obviously used the literature that they had, which was maybe mythology, maybe folk tales. They just used the literature they had. Now, as today's practitioners, maybe we don't see the relevance in it, like I said, or when we see the relevance in it, we say, okay, maybe I can find a different story to bring out the same emotions, because at the end of the day, you are talking about that universal theme at the end of the day. So that is up to you and me, and how we want it to be part of our practice.
And after I hear you, I still believe in the same thing, that it again drill down to clarity, that okay, Mahabharata can also be treated as a great managerial epic, a great story which can be used in wars, can be used in personal life. So it's kind of, yes, we have to believe in the context, we have to know the context, we have to get that clarity, and you can present it in different forms, in same traditional forms. It's like an amalgamation of different views and perspectives. Perfect. So at the end, Shivani, you have given us some beautiful insights, and at the end, I want to finish this with, some one-liners for beginners and for people who are already practicing Kathak. Like one message for beginners and one message for practitioners.
Oh wow. I don't know. For beginners, I would say keep at it, be patient. I think good things take time. So yeah.
And for practitioners,
I think for them, I would say don't maybe give in to trends, and keep the sort of the longer term in mind when you make decisions about your dance.
Perfect. So thank you so much, Shivani, for giving us time today. And we have learned so many nice things which we can just carry forward in our life. So thank you, viewers. And if you have not subscribed to our channel, please do so. And we want engagement. We want you to engage and tell us, okay, this is my query, this is my question. When you all said this, I thought this. So proper interaction will make us grow. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.